Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to CityStreetsMe.com. We are here live on the north side of Wichita, Kansas, the place that I always call home. Back here with Mr. Brandon Johnson of Core Everything. Mr. Johnson, contacted you a couple days ago, talked to you. Tell the people what we're talking about.
Well, we talked a lot about the issue was what happened in Old Town. Tragic event. My condolences go out to the family. I know a few of the family, and horrible story. But we talked about everything going on and probably how the community felt about it.
Absolutely. And then as I put to you, my main drive and determination to calling you was to be able to grab our community, put a voice in our community, because it seems like right now our community is hurting. And there's a lot of misdirected anger going on. So with that, what would be some of the keys that you would think as a community that we can begin to drive forward to heal and to go beyond this?
Well, personally, I would say, and like I said on the phone, we need to begin to take care of ourselves. I know there's a lot of people who feel slighted by the Old Town area.
Right.
No specific clubs, and I won't get into specifics, but people who feel like we are not shown any support down there. Right. And I think that, this is a great time for us to finally start taking care of ourselves. We can create our own Old Town.
Right.
There's an area over here off of Cleveland. We used to have a movie theater, it was a real active part of town, and now it's nothing. So it's time for us to begin to support one another. I'm sure that there are other potential entrepreneurs who want to own their own clubs. It's time for us to support them, back them, start going to those clubs, and really start taking care of ourselves. I've always said, if you feel like one area or one group is doing you wrong, then go do it for yourself.
Absolutely. And to come to piggyback on what you said, as we discussed previously, I would really like to see a change in direction of our community. A change in the attitude, a change in the way that not only that we treat each other, but how we project ourselves to each other. Yeah. Because far too many times it seems that we're trying to portray or live up to a stereotype when we know that that's really not who we are.
Yeah.
But we're out there trying to be something that we're not, and we're not gaining any ground on where we're trying to go. So definitely getting organized is the word for the minority folks. So how can we begin to get organized in your view?
I really think it's communication and information. When you look at, say for instance, the dress codes in Old Town.
Right.
If we start communicating, hey, we dress like that, they won't let us in. We open up our own establishment. Let's start dressing better. I mean, the one thing I always liked was Harlem Nights, that club, Sugar Ray.
Right.
Man, everybody got dressed up. You couldn't get in there half-stepping.
Right.
But really, just getting back to that organization, if we communicate about who's doing what, how they're doing it, what their needs are, that's step one. Then at that point, the whole community knows what's going on. And again, the anger from this situation can be focused into that. And now we're really trying to build our own at that point. I think that's the biggest way to get organized is with the information. And then once we have the information, what do we do with it? How do we open up a legit business? How do we get the business license? How do we get the dance license, the liquor license, every license that we need so that we make sure we are legit?
Right.
And then we all have to grow up and stop the negativity at the clubs. There's no need to fight in the club.
Right.
The club is built, in my opinion, for dancing, talking to somebody of the opposite sex, dancing some more, maybe a couple drinks, to have a good time, get the stress of your day off. And you got people who want to fight. And there's no reason for that. And that's why we have the stereotypes and negative outlooks, and why we can't get big rap concerts here is because they label us with that because a select few want to keep doing it.
Right.
So we have to start treating each other with much more respect and act much more mature when we go out.
Absolutely. And I'll definitely add to that. We all want to see change. We push change around like it's blowing the wind. Like we expect it to happen overnight, but nobody's taking the initiative to drive change. And let me say that being a young brother coming up over here myself, we have to begin as a community to police ourselves. We have to begin to be engaged and involved with each other in a positive way. Because as the old folks used to say, it does take a village to raise a child.
Yeah.
And I know, and I will honestly say that having this young man here at 15 years old, I didn't raise him by myself. You know, there was a select group of people who put in some time when I wasn't around, who kept him on the right path when I wasn't around, who seen him when I didn't see him. Yeah. And they say, hey, boy, you know you ain't supposed to be doing that. You want me to tell your daddy. And that's the way it was back in the old days. And that's some of the down roots that I would like to see getting back into, that us as a community begin to care about each other. Not in the sense of, you know, loan me $5.
Yeah.
But in the sense of, if I see you down or I see you getting ready to do something, hey, let me talk to you for a second. So, in your opinion, how do we get back to that direction of self-love within the community?
Man, that's the $1 million question, because I've said the same thing. We're missing that village. I think it'll probably take just a couple kind acts of a couple different people. I mean, if we start seeing that there's groups of people who care about each other and are out there trying to do something for one another, I think that's the beginning. Somebody has to take that first step. And so far, there's been a lot of complaints, but nobody taking the first steps.
Right.
You know, like we talked about before, CORE's definitely taking the first couple steps if we can. And, you know, we're always looking for other people like yourself to do that. And I think people just need to break that mentality of, I'm taking care of me and I'm not worried about you, because at the end of the day, worrying about the other person helps you out. You know, if your whole block is doing good, you're doing good.
Right.
And I even get technical on this. You know, in my yard, I try to keep our yard dandelion free, clean, and all that. But if I can get everybody else on the block to do the same thing, my yard stays clean.
Right.
But if not, them dandelions come back in my yard and I got more work to do. And I use that example with a lot of people. I mean, we just have to start doing the little things, you know. Somebody needs some bread or something, you know, show them where to go, or if you got some extra, give it to them.
Right on.
You know, if you're in the club, and, you know, this has happened with me, my friends, we don't do all that crazy stuff. You know, somebody steps on the shoe, hey, man, let me get you a drink.
Right.
You know, my bad, I'm sorry about that. Or you talk to somebody's girl, hey, my bad.
Right.
It's no need to fight and do all those things. And I think just those acts of kindness is what starts to build that village again.
Right on.
And even the connection between the seniors and the young folks, and all the seniors were like that. They still take care of each other. You go to McDonald's on any given morning on 17th Street, one of them old brothers go in there, they don't have no money. Another brother's going to buy them the food.
Right.
So they all can have that sense of community and companionship. And I think that's what we need to get back to. But it's going to take those simple acts of kindness, somebody reaching their hand out, for everything to begin to change.
Right on. Right on. And let me say, and I do want to thank you again, because I think I'm kind of smelling a little bit over here. But let me say, because you know why? Because of CORE. You know, we just came from Gordon Parks Elementary, and we met a young brother. You know what I'm saying? And he's articulate and he's engaging. You know, and it felt good to go back home. You know, to sit up in Gordon Parks Elementary and to see the children up in there, and to be able to spend some time with children that, you know what I'm saying, they're not mine. You know, maybe necessarily they're not. I know they're not all yours. You know, and they're not. You know, his brothers and his sisters, but we are. And it feels good to do something. There is no monetary value with spending time with kids or helping. It's just it's impassionate. You know, and I'm not going to say that or sit here and pretend as if, you know, I've always been the most logical individual in the world, but it took time for me to bump my head a couple times for me to understand that there's a right way to act and there's a wrong way to act.
Yeah.
And once you establish those codes within yourself, then give it back. Because one thing that I have understood with my young man growing up is that the children really are a reflection of who we are. They watch everything that we do.
Everything.
And whether we realize it or not, you know, at some point, whether they're 8, they're 15, they're 22, 23, they're going to begin to emulate those images that we put in front of them. And it took me a while to understand that. So again, for the whole CORE program, I say thank you, because I think we had a great time today. I was balling, popping J's, making it rain. That's what I do.
We definitely appreciate you being in the program.
Always.
That's great.
Always.
It helps out a great deal, and those young people are really excited about all of us and your contribution. So we thank you.
Hey, there is no me without you and your organization. We brought in the special community voice of city streets because that's what we are. We want to be engaging, and we read a lot of the things that were going on Facebook. And here's my thing. Here's my plea, my cry. If we're angered by a situation, let's not perpetuate the situation with anger, but let's not be upset about it for a month, 2 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and let this situation just fall for nothing until it happens again. Let's get engaged and let's get involved with our community. It's our kids. It's us. You cannot change anything with just words. It takes action. Mr. Johnson can attest to that wholeheartedly. Anything else you want to?
Yeah, I just piggyback on what you said. I mean, this is an opportunity for us to finally begin to come together and lay the groundwork. And I know in this day and age, we want instant results. This is not an instant deal. It's going to take time, months, maybe years. But we need to start now, start coming together, and start taking care of ourselves. Again, anybody who has a problem with Old Town, all of that happened, let's start looking at building our own Old Town in our community. Let's take care of it. All the hip hop artists. Let's start supporting, some particular clubs that maybe we own. Let's not go down there. Let's start doing things for ourselves, because then at that point, it's nothing to really say because we have our own. So that's really what I would say. It's just time to unite and start doing.
Right on. And definitely, let me say, how much time we got? Let me get out of here. And let me say, everybody says that there's nobody taking the initiative. Here's your initiative. Contact Mr. Johnson, core program. Get there. Get with me. City Streets. You got the phone number. You got the card. You got the email. Mr. Johnson's on our webpage. Get with us. Let's bring this community back home and let's repair some hearts and some souls. I'm with it. And I'm thinking, hey, call me. I'm with it. Am I running out of time? Ladies and gentlemen, this has been CityStreetsMeet.com. I'm running out of time. We're going to get out of here. We're going to see you around. We're out of here. One.